Well, it's going to get resolved tonight, one way or the other, probably.
Yeah, gentlemen, I hope so.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we've already been through the, those in favor, favor, please.
This will be good.
Well, close but no cigar. If it goes in percentages, you have to think, well,
Name?
I'm Stan Goodwin. I live at 6465 Riverside Terrace in Cashwell. I apologize. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, from where this started from a year ago to where we're at now, has really had a lot of commentary, discussion, and points made. In fact, the first meeting that we had of the car collectors, it was amazing that most everybody would go along with state law as defined or somewhat modified. Well, worked hard, did research, looked at surrounding states, counties, different sources of things that would be credible, that would give us discussion and different definitions to build a foundation on. And that was the reason I took on maybe the volunteer responsibility of contributing to the solution. Seemed like we've rather skirted state law. A lot of things that we talked about have been watered down and diluted. And it seemed like to some of us laymen, it's a lot of nitpicky and hard to define resolutions. But, you know, the thing that concerns me is some of the grandfathering or the checkerboard that we have between zoning districts, where you could have an industrial site across the road from somebody that's agricultural, and you know, it's really something to deal with. Narrowing down, when we started, and I know some of us all said the same thing, that from starting with zero, we have a chance to get it right. And I think we need to keep working at it to get it right. I think the antique law was good, and we tried to be more inclusive, and I know that the zoning and planning and the committee agreed on collector vehicles. Of course, you have collector items and road graders and stuff like that. Well, that'd be a collector item, not necessarily a licensable vehicle. Well, we talked about ordinary public view, and we bored some of you with the public view thing, but it's an important thing. What perspective do you have? And there's been some consideration on that, and I think that would be somewhat beneficial as far as screening and enforcing this ordinance. And that's what we're trying to do, is get a separation between somebody that is a hoarder and has all sorts of materials on the property, and you can sort out maybe collector vehicles, or somebody that sincerely does have collector vehicles. There has to be a separation there. The conditional use permit fee, I would hope that if you kept the price of that down, that might encourage more to comply, because I guess the question is, how many are going to agree to conditional use permit? And my point being on this is, we have a lot of law-abiding citizens out there that may say, well, I'm going to step outside the law. I don't think I want to do this. So are we making law-abiding citizens conform to not be law-abiding? I don't know. That's something that we have to have some common sense on and address. The other thing that, you know, the size of the vehicle. I know there's going to be larger vehicles than 1.5 ton. I don't know how you incorporate that, because here's the likelihood you will have perhaps some type of a truck that would be a fire truck, or maybe in a bus or something like that. I think that we're narrowing the field down to the amount of people in the county. Now, you're picking on a minority status here when you section out a certain group of people, then we're out of the ordinary with the majority of the citizens there. So where do we define whether we're being discriminated against, or can we get the laws to where everybody agrees to it. It's going to be an important thing. Guess we have two choices. As the chairman commented, well, it's either yes or it's no. We're close. Like I say, no cigar yet. There's some things that we need to work on. One big concern that I have is it has really been restrictive on residential zoning, one car. I think that you could work with something that you could have up to 3 cars, maybe forgive the price on the conditional use permit, but have a temporary sticker that would be good for 1 year. And if you had intent to either restore the car, or if you're using it for parts, if you're reducing it, that would be okay. Or even have 2 cars. You could have up to 3 cars on residential property, or it'd be beneficial. The point being is, it'd be wonderful if you could have included something like this in the text that we have now, or if not, if this is approved tonight, I would urge that we work on text amendments to include consideration for residential property that would have up to at least 3 cars on it. And I know size is consideration, but I think majority of the citizens in Trumbull County are going to be in residential. It is more heavily impacted. Then you're going to have more rural properties, agricultural, that type of thing, where you're going to have less people involved. So I'd like to see that taken care of, or moved ahead, or quickly work on another text amendment to the proposal we have tonight. Yes or no? I think that you have to consider whether it's good for the citizens or bad, good for the county or bad for the county. We're trying to clean it up here. So I would urge you to consider this. At this point, I am somewhat in favor of approving this proposal tonight. Thank you.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
At some point, if we decided to forgive the conditional use permit fee, what period of time would all these people come forward to do that? Could they do it in 90 days, 60 days? Because what we're looking at some point, it's right now it's just $300. And so everybody knows that's the cost of doing this. This isn't the county's not making any money. This is all the public notices and stuff like this. So we don't make any money off of it. But if we were to have a period of forgiveness where you come in and apply for this conditional use permit, what period of time could they get it done? Of course, this means that the rest of their property has to be cleaned up too. This isn't not just, you clean up get your collector car thing, and then you can have a 50-foot pile of tires behind it. So, can you answer that question? I'm just curious.
Well, it's going to be very hard for me to speak to everybody. I think that some of these, if you're looking at our environment, our weather, there's only a few months out of the year that you can really actively clean up property to get in compliance. I'd have to say that probably a minimum, I'd have to say, all example, 6 months to a year, somewhere in there. This brings up another thing. A lot of people are concerned about having 2 inspections a year for compliance. And to clarify that, it has been brought to my attention, and I already knew this, that there is protection there for the people that have cars on a property. There can be no more than 2 inspections per year. That means that they're being protected from enforcement to come on there once a week, once a day, whatever. And just because it says you could have up to 2 inspections on the permission and agreement of the property owner, it had to be an agreement with the property owner, because if he's had a bad hair day, fighting a wife or kicking a dog, I think maybe a bad day to have the inspector to come out there. So I think there's considerations here. So I think you're going to have to think about, some time to have somebody come into compliance if there's additional